world? What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Be Inspired Podcast. We're inspiring you to live the abundant life you deserve, right? So tonight we have another awesome guest, and I'm excited. Tony from the Virgin Islands. Um, Funny story, I met Tony back in about maybe 2015, 2016. No, about
Yeah,
2015. Yeah.
yeah,
And I met him through his now wife,
yeah,
Chevelle. So, and ever since then, we stayed connected. We talk a lot. Uh, I inspire him. I talk to him. So I just wanted to bring him out because he's currently running a automotive company. He's building his business over there in the ATL. So if
yeah.
you're out there, definitely go check out DT Automotive. So Tony, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So for me, I'll say with the automotive, I started from a very young age. So I'll say I want to think if I gotta think about age I started to like cars was probably maybe about 10 years old, give or take. And then also
Right.
my dad, he used to work on the Vitron system, which is we the transit buses back home. So I always I remember like every especially like when I was younger. And my mom would allow me to take the trash out. Like the guys on the end of the street, they had a Volkswagen buggy. Well, we call them a buggy, but a Volkswagen. And they'd be in there working on it. And
Yeah,
I was going
yeah.
back to the house and I'll be like, hey, mom, you mind if I go down there and watch them work on the cars? And I mean, most of the time, every time it'd be yes, but there was one time I remember she said, well, remember you're supposed to do these chores and you didn't get to do it. So I rushed back to the house and I got the chores done. And she was like, that don't mean you could go. So what I used to do is from that lesson, what I've learned is I've always got everything I need to get done in case I walk by and throw the trash and them guys are working on the car. I could go back down there and help them out. And even with that, it started where I'll be like, I'll just sit down. I'll be sitting down and they'll be doing their work and I'll be asking questions. And then they say, like, why you always want to come? And I said, well, I like cars, So it's okay, we're gonna teach you how to do some stuff. And for me, it started with me just passing them tools. So they'll be like, hey, pass me a ratchet. And I was like, pass you a what? So started there, and then I was saying middle school, we had the opportunity where I was able to continue the automotive program, middle school, high school, and then once I graduated, then I was able to
So
continue. Go ahead.
yeah, so you went in the automotive because I know like in high school back home
Yeah.
they used to had like these programs. They had diesel mechanic, carpentry, all that stuff. So you started in high school with that, right?
I would know. I started in middle school.
Middle school.
Yeah, and I mean,
So
if I could think correct,
I know
prior to
on St.
the
Croix they had that, but on St.
yeah.
Thomas did they have that too?
Well, so what we had is in the middle school we had something they called shop. It was like automotive shop.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, so we had like an automotive shop. So when I know in middle school we had that, I take advantage of joining that program and letting my counselor know, like once I was going to middle school, like for sure I want to make sure I get in that class.
Okay.
So I was able to get in to shop class in middle school, and then I know in when I was younger in elementary, was there elementary? I don't know if I did much automotive stuff, but anytime like I know my grandfather, he'll always be like changing the oil, so I'll
Right.
always try to be around if he's doing that. Or like anything that did with cars, I always like gravitate to. Like even some of the guys back then, they used to have something we call a sprint. So a sprint was I think it was a Chevy that made it sprint, but everybody in the island had sprint. So guys had like some had exhaust, some had like audio systems, and even when they be working on theirs, I'll come
Man,
by. And,
everybody got set. You
yeah, everybody had a set in it. Yeah. So I'd be like, hey, like what you doing? Or
shoot, you
this
remember them? Well, you weren't from St. Croix, so you wouldn't know about them AOK boys. But them AOK
no,
boys was the thing in Central, and then it was some other crews. It was a whole bunch of other crews for car shows and stuff
yeah.
like that. So that's interesting. Were you ever one of them to build a car and rolling down the
Yes.
road with your set now?
So so the thing is, I was I always had a love for the audio side of it. I never really had like an audio system. I did when I did so I mean in okay, so there we go. In tech school. When we went to Lincoln College of Technology in Florida or West Palm. So it was everybody from shop class from Charlotte Amalie High School. We went off to Lincoln College at in West Palm Beach to Lincoln College of Technology. So what we had is we didn't have Sprint. Everybody had a Honda Civic 98. So it was basically anything from 1994 to like about a 2000. Everybody had a Honda Civic. So
To
at
just
that
roll.
time when I first was gonna purchase my Honda Civic, and like I said, I was fresh to the game. Like these guys have been working with cars from their uncles or whatever, so they had a lot of knowledge about cars. I
Mm-hmm.
was I had knowledge, but them guys had a lot more that was doing. So I had guys that was in my shop class that already, oh, I've already built engines before, I've already put in like racing parts and stuff, and that stuff I haven't done yet. So them guys, I was like, hey Tony, where you gonna get? I said, I'm gonna get a Civic. So at that time when I left home, I never really learned how to drive standard. So when I say standard, I'm talking about a manual transmission
Manual
or
transmission.
5 speed, or some people call it a stick shift. So one of my friend them or one of my classmates, I say, hey, I go buy a Civic. I looking at it, I say, where you looking at? I say, I have an Auto. He said, listen, Tony, nobody around here ain't driving no Auto. I said, what do you mean? Which is an automatic transmission.
Yeah.
So when I first purchased my car, I basically paid my friend to come with me because he know how to drive manual. So he drive manual back home, St. Thomas, ain't no problem. And I was like, okay, well, I finally went up there. I had a Civic. I like the guy live in Orlando. So we went, school is Monday to Friday. So from Monday to Friday, I check in with the guy. Like, listen, I really want to buy this car. Do you have the car? Yes. Tuesday, I said, listen, I need this car. You really have this car? Yes. So basically, I made sure up to Saturday he had the car because I was a potential buyer. And I even tell the guy, listen, I give you $100 more if you hold it for me. He said, hold on, I know you're serious. I say, I will go to a MoneyGram. I'll go to whatever to send the money.
Yeah.
He said, listen, I believe you. He said, but you're going to come Saturday. So Saturday morning came. So I remember it like it was yesterday. So Friday night was there. I barely slept. But then I was worried because my friend said, Tony, I'm going to come with you, but you're going to drive the car back down. So at that point, I live in West Palm. And anybody live in Florida, West Palm to Orlando is about
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah. 3 hours. Yeah.
So yeah, so we went there, we test drive the car. There was some defects or there was some issues with the car which he didn't present to me in the sale. But all I know is that hey, I had a red Civic and it's standard, so I could be with the guys because basically at that point they said, "Listen, we all cool. You're like a brother. We love you, but if you drive an automatic car, you can't hang out with us." So and I'm glad they did it because so we went. So I remember we left early in the morning. It was me, my cousin, and two of my friends.
Yeah.
So we went up there. They both of them drove manual cars. So all four of us look at it. We check the car. They said, Tony, the car checks out. You have some minor problem. Had a little oil leak.
Yeah.
Minor issues. So in Orlando, my friend said, Tony, you're gonna have to drive this car. And for the whole time, he's pepping me up, and it's like, I said, so what if it cut out? Because that's always the biggest thing with a standard is just is
Yeah.
that driving. Once you get rolling, it's fine. But if you cut out, you're in trouble. So I went on, got in the car, I drove it. So after I drove it, he said, Tony, you ready to go? I say, yeah. And I test drove it and I drove fine. I buck up a little bit and stuff, but I drove fine. He said, Tony, you really thought I was going to leave drive it to go to West Palm? I said, well, it's my car. I got to get it back. So he did drove it back to West Palm for me. So we
Yeah.
got down there in the neighborhood. It was a Saturday. We got back Saturday night. Sunday morning, I was up early in the morning in the neighborhood trying to learn how to drive the car. Yeah,
Nice.
so I did that. And then one thing that was funny is anybody I know a standard now if you hold the clutch a while and you let off the spin tires. So at that time, there wasn't too crazy with stuff. So I didn't have tags for the car yet. So I called the DMV. It was a process to get my car registered. Okay, you need this stuff and you have to drive it. So at that time, now my classmate or my friend that helped me, I think he had a different time schedule to go to class. So basically, I was on my own. And
Okay.
first, just trying to drive it, it was a process where like every red light I cut out, every red light I cut out. So it was a process with that car. But I mean, there was some modifications did to the car. Like I put on turbo and I carried on the track and different stuff, and
Oh
it was
shoot! I
pretty quick at
remember
that time.
that.
So that was one thing I really did. Was one thing. Yeah, and at that time too, I mean, there was a lot of stuff me and my friends used to do, which were like street race and
Right.
like Friday nights used to be a big night where like hooders and everybody hang out and it was good. So,
Because
and
even
I
in
would
high
say
school, I know
part of it,
you.
I guess, that inspired.
Yeah, I know you talk about
Huh?
like the journey of learning manual because I had the same journey because my father had manual truck. So
Oh,
that was interesting. And the hardest part was getting off the hill. If you could get off the hill,
oh
everything else
yes,
is easy for
that's
sure.
true. That is true. I mean, I would say that and then reverse because what I've
Yeah,
learned is with reverse now, it's not the same gears as first to fifth. So every time in reverse, I used to have a tough time where it's like to be grinding.
yeah,
And it's like, Tony, I have a trick for you. So I mean, if you have a manual, one thing I've learned, if you want to put in reverse, go in second gear and reverse. And every time for some reason it worked. But then it worked from second gear, yeah. So that was one thing I
so
always love. And like I said, I mean, so currently, go ahead.
So yeah, you told me
Oh
a
yeah, the
little bit
question.
about the history of how you got into mechanic. So tell me what inspired you to create your business.
So what really inspired? Well, but my business for one is not just me. So it's my partner and I. Yeah. So I don't.
Okay.
I own the company, but I own 50% of it. So it's 50-50.
Okay.
So I do have a partner named
Oh
Don.
man, I
So
should
what
have
happened
had
is
both of you on here then.
no, so we talked about this. So what it is we're gonna do one interview, and then the next time we probably do one where Don will come in. Cause
All
there are some
right.
other ideas we're trying to work with Sammy to try to see if we could do some other stuff. Which, if all goes well, we'll have it where Don will be there, and hopefully some other stuff in the near future if it
Yeah, for
works out.
sure.
But I mean, so it's me and my partner Don. So what I found in the automotive industry field is there's a lot of customers where they have it where what we call it misdiagnosing. So
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be something simple like, hey, I have this issue with my car, and a lot of time what I've learned is if having issues with a car, that's one thing, but when it comes to fixing it or repairing it or getting it right the first time, that's been a big challenge in the industry. So
Yeah.
me and my partner been working together. Well, I work with him at my prior job, maintaining the same fleet. So one time he called me. He's like, "Hey, Tony, I'm gonna start a business. I want you to work for me." I said, "I don't know about working for you because I wanted to work for myself and own my own business." He
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
"Okay." So that's where we kind of left the conversation at that time. So next time he said, "Okay, well, what if we start a business?" I said, "Okay, cool. That ain't no problem." So at that point of time when we started the business, I mean, anybody knows starting a business is like you got to decide which direction you want to go. So for us starting our business, we always decide that in the field, there's a lot of stuff that people is already doing. What can we do different? Not only just do different, but what can we do different that could contribute to the industry or the automotive
Right.
industry? So one thing we find ourselves where is a lot of time, like at his job, he's a guy where when they can't figure it out, they give it to him. So one time I learned that when we were speaking on the phone, I say it's funny because sometimes at my job, that's the kind of repairs I'll get. I'll get the repair where two guys fix it and then I'm stuck with it. And I'll find from me doing that, and I'm telling you, I've had some days where I've been working on a car for a week, and at that point, it's like, okay, this thing is starting to get
Yeah.
old or it's starting to be stressful or headache. But nothing to me better than when you actually figure out, hey, this is what's causing the problem. So what we realize is we say, okay, well, we'd like to do a company, but what do we want this company to do, or what do we want this company to stand for, or what do we want this company to represent? So we're doing a company was like, okay, well, hey, let's start a company. We could do it. And even at that time when I talked to him about starting, he had some stuff he was doing, which he was like, okay, well, hey, with what I got going on now, how about we start it next year? I
Yeah.
was like, next year? That wouldn't be bad, but why we can't start it now?
What
Because I
year
was
was
ready. I guess I
that?
was excited
Because
at
the
that time.
next year was
So we started.
what year was that?
So
Because
the
you said
company,
next year, so
we
just so the
started the
viewers know.
company. Oh, so when we sit down, so we call a meeting. So what happened is me and him call a meeting, and we decided, okay, hey, we're gonna do the company. We came up with some ideas. That was in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, 2023. Yeah. So that was like in April of 2023. So we figured, okay, what do we need? So we went through the process of doing the LLC, so doing research to see like, okay, well, to be a registered business in Georgia, what's required. So went through all of that stuff. So we did that stuff. Then we shop around and was like, okay, well, if we're gonna do a business, we're gonna need to set up a
Mm-hmm.
POS system. So we did that stuff. And then the next thing we did is was like, okay,
What's a
well,
POS
if we're
system?
gonna do a business, so a POS system is like a payment system. So
Okay.
basically, like like some people use like Square, some people use PayPal or whatever. Because see, the
Okay.
thing is, as a customer, it's not gonna be if you come to me and it's like, okay, Sam, I could service your car. And he's like, okay, I want to pay with a card. It's like when you take cash, it's like that don't make any sense. So basically, we realized, and it's not, and I guess I said that to say it's like we're doing it. We had to kind of realize like, because prior to that, I used to do something called side work. Everybody knows side work is like, okay, hey, if you need this done, I could do
Yeah.
it, and I could play with the prices and all this stuff. But with a business, a lot more rules, a lot more guidelines. You got to pay taxes and different stuff like that. So we had to sit down that day, and we had a meeting. And actually, the funny thing is, I would say, is prior to coming up with this company, we had a different business idea. So prior to this, our real thing we wanted to do was an equipment rental company. So
Okay.
we sit down and we look at some stuff and we was like, oh yeah, man, this is what I want to do for sure. I like to buy some equipment and rent it out. So we did a lot of the research except seeing what the equipment would cost. So I do work a job where we maintain FE equipment and trucks and stuff, and to do a repair it costs a lot. So
Okay.
at the time we look at some stuff and was okay, sure, let's do this, and we came up with a plan. until we start to research and we say, okay, well, right now to buy a brand new equipment would cost a lot. Let's see what it costs to use. And when we look at the price, we was like, at this point, at that point, it was fine, but when we look at our finances, it was like, if we do this, we kind of be overstretching ourselves. So we
Right.
kind of retracted and was like, what can we do? Like you said, like I think like when I spoke to you the last time, like with your goals, you work it in steps. You start with the smallest thing, or at least work with what you have. And that's the
Yeah.
point I'm trying to get to work with what I have. So we both sit down and was like, what can we do? What we like to do a business, and equipment rental won't be it because of the cost to start. The startup cost was a lot. So when we both sit down, we say, hey, well, we're just fixing cars, or even if not just fixing cars, we could be like diagnostic techs, because that's
Right.
what DT stands for. So diagnostic techs, automotive enterprise.
Diagnostic test.
And not that alone, but when we talk about it, it's like we already got tools, we already had training, and there was like maybe some minor tools. Like we didn't need to buy like a new upgraded scan tool, which a scan tool or a scanner is something where you connect to the car and it
Yeah.
communicates with all the computers to say, okay, well, out of the 10 computer, this is the one that's having an issue based on what the feedback is getting from the sensors of the cars. So that was like maybe one of the major tool we needed to get started, and we was like, you know what? That would be a better bet. So we'd say, if anything, I mean, we'll start with this company, and in the near future, maybe we could branch out to other things. So, and I
So
mean, a next thing that really drive us to start a company as well too is just that a lot of my sidewalk customers will always have it where by the time they come to me, they already had their car worked on or misdiagnosed. So at that point, I was like, I want to be that difference where it's like, okay, if you come to us, we want to get it done right the first time. And even if it's not done right the first time, we want to figure out, okay, where we went wrong so it won't happen again. But have it where like our customer isn't spending money on guessing, you know.
so what tell me what has been the most challenging part of becoming a business owner for you?
So the most challenging part of becoming a business owner is I would say setting things up. And when I say that, I mean like if you have done that stuff before, it's kind of like an easy walk. But if you haven't done it before, there's a lot of stuff you learn. I mean, up to this day, there's a lot of stuff we're still learning. There's a lot of like changes we have to make. Even like I tell you, like a POS system, we got that because so one time we had a customer we service, and he was ready to pay, and he was like, I got my card, and I was like, you don't got cash? He's like, no, I don't really use cash. So even from that, that was a lesson where I was like, okay, well, if we're gonna be business or be doing business, you gotta have stuff set up and stuff in place. So I would say that have been the challenging part with some aspect. It's just like making sure you have the right stuff in place. So when you do business, people can understand, or listen, there's a business I'm doing, not that side job or whatever. So that has been a challenge. One other thing I know my partner and I have been working on is looking more at what the future have to come. So everybody know with automotive industry, we're more going to more electric or hybrids or self-driving cars. So that's kind of the avenue we've been focusing on because at some point that would, in a sense, be the norm.
Okay.
You know.
So you talked about one of the most challenging part. What has been one of the biggest lessons you've learned from starting your business?
So one of the biggest lessons I've learned from starting my business is in business. I mean, a lot of time you gotta see, I guess, see how things are going or how the economy look or how things go because even like at a time like now, my partner and I had a big meeting yesterday where I was like, okay, with times like these, this is the kind of adjustments we got to make, or this is the market we got to target. Because a lot of times you might do something and you realize, hey, for 4 years that's working, and then a fifth year might come where like example like COVID coming is like, okay, well, a time like this, how do I operate? I can't come 6 feet within someone, so how would I operate? How would I move forward? But one thing I've liked with COVID in a sense that have taught me is at that time I was looking at how businesses operate and how they was making adjustments or how they was making changes to continue operating. So I would say a lot of time operations could be challenging, and then especially in a time like this where you have it where maybe your common part used to be one set price, and now because of stuff have gone up, we have kind of have to come up with ways how to keep satisfying and dealing with customers and still keeping a level of quality as well. So
Yeah,
that's
sure.
what I would say.
Okay. And then I would say, what has been like one of the lowest moments in your life and business?
Well, I would say the lowest moments has been is I guess like how some people would say like you put a horse before the cart. I mean, no, you put a cart before the horse.
Yeah.
So I mean, sometimes when you have a business, you might look and strategize and be like, okay, well, hey, I got this amount or whatever. You know, you might calculate like, hey, I got 10 customers. You'd be like, okay, well, okay, off of these 10 customers, these are stuff I could do for the business where off of these 10 customers, I could maybe buy that new equipment I want, or I could probably go ahead and probably market my business in this way. So I mean, with all this stuff and all the changes, you have it where customers are like, listen, I like to get repairs done, but because of what's going on, I kind of prefer to wait.
Yeah,
So at that
yeah,
point, you gotta sit back and say, okay, well, hey, with this, and that's what I was saying with changes. So with this change, what is something we could do to continue to keep the business moving forward while adjusting with the change that's going on? You know, so a
mm-hmm.
lot of time I was just changing and adapting mainly, or even figuring out what other targets or what other markets you can target to do business
Yeah,
with.
for sure. So
Yeah.
just specializing and trying to see what works best for you and your business, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
'Cause I mean,
So
like if everybody know, with most of the cars or all the cars, everything is computerized. So
yeah,
anybody that know,
everything is
if you have a
electronic
computer
now.
behind something, it costs. So yeah,
So we both from the Virgin Islands. You from St. Thomas, I from St. Croix.
yeah,
So
yeah, man.
so tell me why your point of view, because coming from a little island and now living in America or the
Yeah.
US, what has been like the most challenging adjustment for you?
Well, what I'll say, I mean, one of the challenges adjustment has for me coming from home to up here at first was the cold, the weather. Yeah, I mean, when I first went Florida, you know what I
100%.
mean? The first day, I mean, when I went to West Palm, the summertime, we love it. You know, when winter time come on, they get like 50 degrees. I used to have on a big fluffy jacket, you know.
Yeah.
At that time, I had a sister in New York, so she was born home, but she lived in New York, so she was able to always give me advice for, listen, bro, if you're gonna be in the cold, you want to wear long johns, you want to have a good jacket. So at the time I sent her a picture of my jacket, she's like, that ain't a jacket. I said, what you mean? So I had a jacket, I guess that looked something like with the Michelin man.
Yeah.
And I used to wear the jacket a lot. And like I would go in Walmart, and when I go in Walmart, I see people looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy? And at that time, like I said, for me, 50 degrees was cold. So I would say adapting to the climate has been a big
Adapting to
change.
the
And then
climate for sure.
not just that, but then some of you from St. Croix. So you know, back home we drive on the left. Like
Yeah.
we drive on the left side of the road. So driving on the right side of the road up here has been an adjustment where it's like yeah, it take a while. Yeah, it take a while. But then
Yeah.
even to me when I come back home, I just sometimes I remember Tony again driving the left. So even one time I didn't remember home and I catch myself by myself in a parking lot because it's easy to follow the traffic when there's cars flowing. So
Yeah.
at that time when I was in a parking lot by myself, I find myself driving on the right side of the parking lot. So what I'll do is I came up with a jingle when I reach home. I was like, okay, keep to the left, you gotta keep to the left, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you won't
For sure.
get on collision with somebody.
That's funny because you know what helped me with that when I move up here? What
Yeah.
helped me with that was when I go on the road, I would go all the way to the farthest right left lane and be close to the wall
Yeah.
so I could feel like I driving on the left.
Oh boy, I never look at it like that for me. I ain't gonna
Yeah,
lie.
that's one of the things that helped me when I started driving up. Yeah, but yeah, those two things, the cold, everybody looking at you,
Yeah,
and yeah, because that was
that was
something for
different.
me too. I didn't like the cold at all.
No. I mean,
So
I've gotten better with dealing with 50 degrees. You know, so I mean, 'cause
yeah,
once you live up here, you learn to adapt and your body do adjust. Because a next thing I'll say so for the weather, like back home, you know, home we don't get well, they don't get cold home at all. But you know, home something for like a low 70s is cold for a local,
yeah,
for somebody that live home. So it's one time I remember I did one back home and I think I was at the bar park, and but the bar park is right close to the ocean. So some people was there sitting down with their hoodies and jacket, and I said, "Oh, it's cold." And I look at the temperature, and I was like, oh, "It's 72 degrees. It's cold." But then I had to think of when I used to live home and closer
yeah,
to December, which is cold. We don't get snow
yeah,
home, but it is cold.
yeah. It
That's
is
cold
cold.
climate. So I have to kind of be mindful of. Okay, well, when you were home, them degrees used to be cold for you, but now since you reach the
Yeah,
states where
yeah,
you could weather the storm a little better, you know, ain't too bad.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
everybody used to pull out their jacket down in December.
Yes, in December, yeah, December, like about November, December time, you're going
Yeah,
every place with your jacket.
yeah,
Not because of rain, but be careful. And then depending on what, like for us, home, like if you live border in the west, it was way more colder. It was way cold because basically that's what the ocean is and stuff. Yeah. So I know I had an uncle in border, and one time we went to sleep over. I was like, "What you got the AC on here?" He's like, "You see, we have any AC on here?" And it was cold, you know. Yeah,
You one thing that you didn't mention that was a challenge for me was
yeah,
getting used to the fast life? Because you know, at
Well,
home is more slower, like laid back,
well,
all of that, right? But up
yeah,
here, you got go, 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 and is a mindset you gotta have in order to make
yeah.
it up there. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, see,
how's
okay,
that?
so for me, how I dealt with the fast life to me, I mean, in West Palm, at that point, we were in school. So, I mean, hey, our only responsibility was going to school. It wasn't working. So, at that time, I
Yeah,
was in West Palm to me. I say to me, when we were in West Palm, for all of us, it was like, in a sense, like a bigger St. Thomas. 'Cause for one, you had everybody from home around you, is all of us in a group. You don't have no real responsibility, because the only thing at that time we had to really worry about was, hey, going to school and getting good grades.
yeah,
And then when I adjusted from tech school into the real world, it was a little different. Still, a little hard to find a job. But again, like I say, you have no real responsibility. Now, as far as the fast life, would say I've experienced that when we lived in Maryland because I moved from Florida to Maryland. And there, that was a state where when I lived there, it's like I feel if I come home, like if you sit down too long, it's like you're wasting time. You gotta go, you gotta go, you
yeah,
gotta go.
yeah, yeah,
So I currently do live in Georgia now, where to me is fast was a little slower pace in a sense because
right,
I've had people where they live in North and they come down here, it's like, nah, don't get too slow, too quiet for me. But I've had it vice versa where people be like, I more prefer the quiet. So mine in Georgia when I used to come here to visit a lot because I do have like some relative and some of my in-laws here. I used to tell my wife, I say, is it me or don't let us have a different vibe? So from when we have come down here to me, I would say it do have a fast life, but it's more a relaxed pace
yeah,
if it makes sense. And so I guess a lot of time it does depend on the state because like if you go someplace like New York, they don't close
yeah,
at all.
or
I mean, I
Miami,
don't know about after COVID. Oh, Miami, oh boy.
yeah,
I used to live in
oh,
Florida, so Miami the party all the time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man. I know in New York, like one time I remember my cousin and I we drove there and it was 12 o'clock we hit the state. And I think I had a shop open doing some work and then the barber shop was full. I was like, I look at my watch like it's 12 o'clock, like it's in New York going to sleep. So I mean I guess it depends on the state you live in when it comes to that stuff. And it is an adjustment. It really was. It was an
yeah,
adjustment, but I guess after a while, it started to become like a normalized kind of thing.
yeah, man. So we talk about the
Yeah.
challenge coming from home. What are some books that you read or um you you read that got you to where you are today?
Well, a lot of times, I mean, as far as like books I've read, not a whole lot. I mean, a lot of time I do podcasts because like for me it's more better because like I mean even like sometimes I could be like walking and have a podcast played. So
Yeah,
one thing I did kind of I would say maybe a little before COVID, I was just to be like, hey, I like to work for myself. I like to open my own business, but I never really put in the legwork to figure out like what it consists of and what it takes. So I want to say maybe closer to COVID, like they said 2020 that was the year open your eyes. So at that time it didn't open my eyes to a lot of stuff. Where I was like, okay, well, hey, maybe open a business is something I could do because around that time there was people opening businesses left and right. So one podcast I did look at is or did listen to a Rich Dad Poor Dad. And there were even like some parts where some people said I've read the book and listened to the podcast. I listened to it twice where I was like, this thing making too much sense.
yeah.
So that was one podcast I listened to. And next thing I do is a lot of there are a few like people that I follow which they do like have different like business stuff. And the
It's
next thing
funny you
I
say
know like
that
in the
one
morning.
because on this, that's mostly what everybody starts. Rich Dad Poor
Yeah.
Dad. So
Yes.
that's interesting that you said that one.
I mean, next thing too is I do kind of what I've learned now too is I've learned like to like follow different businesses and how they operate and how they do business because and I say that to say this like I know there was a good restaurant here in Georgia we go to all the time
Yeah,
and everybody know COVID was a challenging time for anybody. But one thing I've seen with a lot of the businesses like as far as the restaurants, they had it where it was like okay, yes, COVID is going on, but what can we do to operate? And I see it where the company was already, the restaurant was always busy any which ways. And I guess after COVID, they realized, well, hey, well, if we can't do face to face, let's add a drive-through. So by them adding a drive-through to me, it make it where the restaurant was able to succeed and do good during COVID. So that was one thing I looked at. I know in the morning time, a lot of time the Steve Harvey show, he comes on. He
yeah.
have a segment he talk about like if you wanna do stuff. So he like that's the kind of people I listen to, like Steve Harvey. There was a next, I don't remember his name, but it was the next guy. I think I've watched some of his YouTube channels and stuff. But I always try to follow stuff, whether it's like businesses or companies that's like doing different stuff, and let's kind of see like, okay, how do they operate? What's their business model like? What are some of their values? You know.
So, being that you like usually listen into podcasts and mostly not many books, what has been one takeaway that helped skyrocket your business so far?
I mean, well, I'd say one takeaway that have helped us a lot is like I said, being able to adapt and adjust, because like
Okay.
it's just like with everything in the day to day, everything changes. So I
Yeah.
mean, for us, like we have had time where we'd be like, okay, well, right now stuff ain't moving. Like, why is it not moving? Like, maybe like why we ain't getting clients, or why we ain't busy, or why we ain't doing stuff. So based on once we sit down and evaluate and be like, okay, well, maybe ain't happening because at the time, maybe the invoice may be too much. So we have learned like ways of, okay, like let me reach out to our customer and see, hey, which ways can we help you? Because I mean, the main reason my partner and I did this was to help people to keep their cars on the road, keep it driving, and
Yeah.
for them to have a reliable transportation to use. So a lot of the time we kind of speak to customers where it's like, okay, well, if you need this stuff done, okay, yes, our ticket might be this much, but how about if we break it down? Or how about maybe if we do with the priority repairs? Whereas we could probably do the stuff that's more priority or safety related, and then we could get back to the other stuff.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what's one thing that you not that what's next on your journey?
So my journey on what I've been looking at is like one day I was sitting down and I was looking at it and I was trying to decide, okay, hey, what do I want for myself for the next 5 years? So I was looking at it and say, okay, well, and then the reason I did that too is because see me in 2025. So when I thought about that, I was like, okay, what do I want for myself for 5 years? What I thought about was COVID. That was 5 years ago. And when I look
When I
at
look at
that, to me, I was looking at it saying that seemed like it was not too long ago. So from me seeing that, I realized I got to put stuff in place. So I would say for me for the next 5 years, I definitely would been working on finances and stuff, but I want to have the company where we're probably servicing multiple fleets or multiple um, customers, and then even probably seeing if we could have another location or another state that we actually do business in.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's all cool goals. Open up at another location and also in other states.
yeah. Because
That's
like,
great.
and I say that because I know, like I said prior, before I used to live in Maryland, and a lot of time I keep in touch with like a lot of my customers because some of them has been like, okay, like family friends or whatever. And like I remember one time I called one of my customers I used to service, and when I called them, they was like, what happened, you moving back up here? I said, no, I was just checking on you. And she was asking me because she had some issues and stuff with her car. So the next thing I kind of been thinking about too is like I've been speaking to my partner to figure out even if maybe we could possibly do something where it's more like depending on which like a volume of customers we have, probably see if we could do like a pop-up shop. So we just been trying to look and work on different
Okay.
innovative ideas where you could push the company forward regardless of what's going on.
True. So we're coming up to our time, Tony. Um,
Okay.
what's one thing that you wanted to talk about, but I didn't ask you the question that you could have shared it?
Let me see one thing. I mean, to me, I think we touch base on everything. I mean, one thing I'll say, I mean, is the entrepreneurship journey is challenging. It do have its days like anything else, but one thing I would say as well is, I mean, well, Sammy didn't mention, but I also use him for his life coach services. And I know one thing that really helped me, he laughed, but one thing that really did help me to like keep stuff going is finding a reason why. And even, I mean, like Sammy did say we're friends, but one thing I did enjoy or I did love is, although we're friends good, but when it was time to do life coaching stuff, I was like, okay, well, hey, okay, we're friends, but now it's business time. So he was able to separate it too. But definitely, I'll say, if you want to do something, do it, work on it, and even if it don't work out or it don't fail, let's find a way you can adjust to keep moving forward. Because I know in these days it could be hard and challenging, but if you take it one day at a time and work on stuff, it could work out. And
Yeah.
even next thing I'll add is even when it look like it's not working out, just keep going at it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
for one thing I've noticed recently is that even when you feel like it's not working out on those days, you're gonna get confirmation that you need to keep going.
Yes.
Like you're gonna get a
Keep going.
customer
Yes.
that
Yes.
comes in and be like, "Hey, thank you for doing such a good job on my car. I'm running." You're gonna get some kind of notification, whether it's a call,
Yeah.
whether it's someone texting you. Somebody's gonna tell you something that lets you know that you need to keep going.
Keep going. Yeah. And I agree. I definitely agree.
So I just want to thank everyone that tuned in to the podcast tonight. I appreciate you. I appreciate all our subscribers. Thank you guys for watching. And like Tony said, if you need coaching, definitely go ahead and click the link
I
below. And if
highly
you
recommend
resonate
it.
with this message, if anything pops up to you that you agree with, you want to talk about, go ahead and talk about it in the comments. We're here. We'll respond, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Inspired Podcast. Tony, how can people get connected with you if um, they want to connect with you?
Yeah, I would say two ways we could connect with us is we have through our Facebook page and our Instagram. We have a website that we're currently working on, and in the near future, we are looking at a YouTube channel where we could probably do more stuff that could help
Yeah,
customers and
yeah,
DIYers.
like
So
little how-to
for now,
videos,
Facebook and Instagram.
for sure.
Yeah, so there was one that I produced that I'm kind of happy about because like everybody know, like there's YouTube, which people call it universal YouTube. So there was a repair I was looking at. I said, let me see if we have one online, and we didn't. So I still have that in production. So once my YouTube channel is up or DT Automotive YouTube channel is up, it will be released where, and that specific model, I was able to do the repair. So
All right,
that'll be things we're working on in the near future as well.
for sure.
Yeah, but I say if you go on our YouTube page, not YouTube, if you go on our Instagram or Facebook, or even you could contact us. But if you go on Instagram or Facebook, you could contact us there, or you can look at our page where we have posted the services we do, along with our email address and our contact number.
So you heard it here. You heard it from DT Automotive Enterprise. Yo, he got his Instagram. It's all gonna be linked at the bottom so you can connect with him. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.
All right, thank you, everyone.